All right, I made it. First school term of my adult life complete. Um, I think I know I got an A in one class. I probably got an A in another class, and I hope I got an A in the third class. that's that's as close as we're gonna get today because the grades aren't posted yet. Surprisingly, I'll probably make a grade update video on Friday. I'm guessing they'll come out. Um, Maybe next Monday, but yeah, I'm excited to know whether I reached my goal of the first ever career high 4.0. And other good things have happened. I had a really funny situation with my boss from the dance shoe store, and because we had a coworker quit last Thursday, and and my boss made the mistake of paying him like ahead of time because he still had the keys to the business. And the guy was kind of being a douche about the whole thing, to be honest. He refused to turn in the keys, which apparently is illegal. But more importantly than that, it's just rude and inconsiderate. And apparently he said a bunch of mean things about my boss to my boss, which is really unfair because I feel like she was way too understanding, kind, and accommodating than she should have been, considering his attitude and his complete lack of work ethic or interest in the business whatsoever. He did not show any characteristics of a retainable employee. I would have fired him like as soon as he called in more than like 3 or 4 times in within a month, and also told me that, I mean, he told my boss, but if he had told me that he found another job at the Portland Art Museum and he was going to give that priority, but he still wanted, any hours he could get with my business, I would have started considering it. And then after a few like attitude problems in front of my boss, to my boss, like one time she asked him where a matching shoe was, for one that he put away and organized supposedly, and he just said, "I don't know," and just left it at that. And I would have been like, "Do you really want to be here? Do you really want to work here? It doesn't seem like you do." Anyway, so he wouldn't turn in the keys, right? And I suggested that I could just go to his new job, which happens to be at a location close to downtown, where I go between Tuesday, Thursday classes and home. I'm not going to dox him, hopefully. But anyway, I go to this business, which has a gift shop. I'll just leave it at that. And I found him working there on a day that he wasn't, we weren't aware that he was scheduled, but I went because I was nearby and I thought it would be good to resolve this matter. And I greeted him, politely, and I just asked him, "So Jeff," oh, fuck, I'm so bad at this. Anyway, his name's Jeff. Don't like. You have no idea who it is, so who cares? God, I'm worse at telling stories, secret stories. This is why they don't let me into secret societies, because I just blurt it out on accident, not realizing it's supposed to be secret until it's too late. So I asked Jeff, "Hey, do you have those keys by any chance?" And he just smiles, because he has a coworker standing next to him. And he's like, yeah, actually, I do. And he goes in the back and, probably goes in his bag or something, comes out, hands me the keys, and I thank him. I'm like, and I look around. I'm like, this is a nice place. I hope it continues to go well for you. You know, hint, hint. Like, I know what you did. Don't don't mess with us, or we'll tattle on you to your new employer. Um, and yeah, it left. I felt successful. Felt like almost like a mafia member. You know, shaking a guy down for his for our property, and it was fun. Um, what else? Oh yeah, I started my candle making business. I have 20 something candles ready for sales. I'm gonna do in-person sales, very very fundamental, primitive street level sales. Um, I think I'm just gonna go to a local street where people walk back and forth. You know, there's like businesses, and since it's legal and it harkens back to like medieval times where people would just set up market stalls in town and just sell their wares without having to worry about licensing or fees or rent or anything. Um, Back when the market was a lot more interesting and fun. I'm just gonna set up a blanket, sit down, lay out my wares, and just sell honest, good products to people. And I think that's a good way to start. It might also be a good way to continue. That could be like the business model, which would be really funny. Um, just save so much money on capital. Like, why rent stuff out when you could just sell for free? And what are they gonna do? Tell you can't exchange goods on public property, non-medical, non-food goods? I doubt it. Especially since it's so much better than having just homeless people camped out. Um, so that's the plan with that. And I something else fantastic happened. Um, just for the record, since it might be a little bit obvious, by the way I'm talking a lot more eloquently, creatively, and freely. I have reintegrated cannabis back into my life. Um, I spent about a month and a half completely sober, and or more or less completely sober. I didn't smoke for a month and a half. About a month in, I did make on Thanksgiving. I made a cannabis cream, a cannabis hot chocolate, really. And I drank it, but it just gave me like the energy and the kind of shakiness without any of the epiphanies or real groundbreaking realizations that usually come about the first time I smoke after a period of absence. And so it was chill, and I like sat down and watched a movie or something after a bit. But on Sunday, when I was starting the candle business, I found there was like an energetic block. I couldn't get started on it. Like I just kept thinking about it and thinking about it, and it just wasn't flowing, you know. And so I decided to smoke. And something really interesting happened. That was a gnat, you know. Something really interesting happened once I smoked just a little bit. The energy flowed properly again. I remembered that I thought of the candle making business when I was stoned back in the day, you know, almost probably a year ago or so. And I guess I needed to be in that state of mind, or wanted to be in that state of mind to really enjoy the process. Everything went well. I had a bunch of additional business epiphanies that were really beneficial and useful. I had a bunch of personal existential epiphanies that were really healthy. And so yeah, I think balance is key is with everything. I'm gonna shoot for not smoking unless everything else is taken care of or accounted for or well underway. I'm not gonna allow myself to self-sabotage using cannabis as an excuse. And yeah, I'm really grateful. I spent about a month and a half without smoking. I put a lot of things together. I learned a lot about myself. Um, Maybe in another video I'll put together some scientific evidence that um, cannabis is more like a nutrient than a drug. But anyway, so I reintegrated cannabis and then made the candles, and I gave away some of the candles as a gesture of appreciation. Only 4 of them, and I had plenty of beeswax to spare. As a gesture of appreciation to 4 of my favorite people at PCC. One of them was the shuttle bus driver, because he's awesome, was always friendly, and he when he drives he's like locked in. He's super aware, and I really appreciate that, because I usually don't like putting my life in the hands of incompetent strangers. He was very competent, and something cool happened because I gave him the candle as I was leaving the shuttle, and I wished him a happy break, and I told him I might not ride a shuttle again because I'm taking a different schedule next term, different locations at different times, and he gave me his business card. Apparently, him and his wife do fine art photography, and they specialize in portrait photography. And this is interesting because it was a huge missing piece in my business network that I want to create for another business I'm thinking about starting soon. And so having a photographer I can contact for certain jobs is fantastic, and we're very simpatico. He said I would. He was very kind and said I would sure to succeed in the candle making business because of my personality, which is really nice to hear, really encouraging, and so that was a really positive sign that things are flowing as they should be, and that and that I'm aligned with my passions and maybe my higher purpose and all that. Had a pretty good economics final. It started off a bit rough. The first 2 questions were about a topic that I'd dismissed to another student as being, they probably won't be on the test. That sounds like heterodox stuff. I doubt he'll talk about that. And they were the first 2 questions on the test. But luckily after that, I locked in a bit. I thought my essays were pretty good, but they, as usual, I have a hard time explaining like the fundamental basics of why businesses do things, because to me it's so intuitive at a level that I can't, it's hard for me to describe it in words quite at this moment. Maybe that'll improve in the future. So I think I might have I at least got a B on the test, if the other ones are anything to go by. By its, how confident I felt, difficulty, percentage of the multiple choice questions that I felt concerned about. So I think at least I got a B. I probably got an A, adjusted, to the curve that we have with extra credit points. So it went well. I have for sure an A in technical writing. I'm not sure if I've mentioned that already. I have like a 92 or 93%. Even if the final project, even if I wrote it terribly, I should still have an A. And that class was really good. Uh, met some really amazing people in that class, that I'm really grateful for, and yeah, that I'm really happy about that class. And let's see what else. I checked out some books in the library for some winter reading about um, talent agencies and the history of electronic music. Um, the book about talent agencies is what actors would like to know about talent agents. So that might give you a hint as to possible future business ideas. I switched out the light bulb on my aquariums because I had a 250-watt heat lamp on them, and they're growing a bunch of green algae, and I think they're getting too much light, so I put in a 40-watt just regular light bulb, incandescent light bulb. And so they might struggle a little bit for a while, especially the plants. But my electricity bill is going to be a lot better, so that'll be a bonus. And hopefully the algae will clear up, because they basically had the blazing sun on them for like 6-8 hours a day, so this should be a lot more chill. And I can leave this when I leave. It should be a lot safer, and I'll leave the one on the bathroom probably 24/7, so the plants grow as much as possible. Yeah, I mean, there's other things I could talk about, but that's all the mainly relevant stuff right now. But I'm excited for winter break. It should be interesting. I've got my first ever semi-business trip lined up. Won't give any details about it for legal reasons. Because of possible pending litigation issues. But I'm excited about that. It'll be my first time going to this particular area. I might check out some hot springs, which should be good and healthy. I'll try to stay in them for 45 minutes to an hour and a half, like Augenus would want. I'll bring my camera. I'll take some pictures, and yeah, so I have like maybe a week of semi free time. I'll still have work Fridays, Saturdays, a couple times I think, or is it just once? I'm not sure exactly. I don't really count right now, and hopefully I'll make progress towards Legend and Overwatch. I've been playing really well. I just need to put in the time. Oh yeah, check out my stream sometime. I've started streaming Overwatch, and that's been actually really interesting. It's like it unlocked a new part of my brain, having to think about what I want to say to the audience versus what I want to say to my teammates, and also considering like the whole experience of it while I'm doing it is like it's kind of an interesting exercise mentally. I have high respect for streamers that can stay entertaining and play competitively at the same time. It's so difficult. But it's also healthy. I think it's helped me get into kind of a free flow or free flow of thought kind of state, which for me is healthy. For other people it's unhealthy, but for me I think it's healthy because I'm usually so self-regulated and self-restricting. So I'm looking forward to Christmas break. As I said, 2026 is sure to be an interesting Gregorian solar year, and I'm grateful to you all for being a part of my life during this and everything else.